Welcome to Beyond the Shears, the podcast where groomers get business savvy. I'm your host, Crystal, the groomer's accountant. And today we're diving into a topic that every business owner needs to focus on: marketing, websites, and SEO. Let's be honest, in today's digital world, if customers can't find you online, then you're going to lose business. But having a website isn't enough. You need the right strategies to make it work for you. That's why I'm thrilled to have Adam from the Gratzi here with us today. Adam is the owner or part owner of the Gratzi, and a marketing agency based in Kenosha, Wisconsin, that specializes in helping small businesses create websites that actually convert visitors into paying customers, rank higher on Google, and build a brand that stands out. Today, we're going to break down exactly what small business owners, especially pet groomers, need to know to improve their online presence, get more clients, and then to make marketing work for them instead of feeling like a constant struggle. So, Adam, thank you so much for joining us today. If you want, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in the world of digital marketing.
Oh, sure. Well, first and foremost, thank you, Crystal, for having me and representing the Gratzi. I'll share a little bit about my background. Ever since I was a kid, I guess, kid's a relative term, but, since I was about 10 or 11 years old, I had a passion for coding. I actually rented a book from the library, a fairly thick book from the library entitled HTML.
Oh,
And that
wow.
is the coding language of websites and web pages. I taught myself how to code. Took that passion with me to the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, where I attended college and graduated from with a degree in general business and a little emphasis on marketing. So not necessarily the usual path for someone that's into computer science as a passion, but I think that contributed a lot to how the Gratzi came to be because there was background in coding and in background in marketing. Fast forward, after I graduated, I met up with my business partner here at the Gratzi, Larry Jewett, at a previous company called Happy Turf that he owned. And we put what I guess you would call SEO, search engine optimization, kind of before it was a coined phrase. We kind of put some of those strategies to the test with happyturf.com to move up in the local area, Racine, Kenosha, Lake County, for lawn care near me, or lawn care in Kenosha, lawn care
Mm-hmm.
in Lake County. And we saw some increases on the happyturf.com website on Google, going from page oblivion, nowhere, to page 7 to page 3 to page 2, and it finally cracked on page 1. And that's when the magic happens. I think a lot of business owners need to understand, once you get to page 1 of Google, that's when, it's a game changer. In some cases, it's a life changer. But we saw what we had and what we accomplished on happyturf.com for Larry's business. So in 2012, we incorporated the Gratzi, which was a nickname of mine growing up, to help other small businesses move up on Google. So instead of just lawn care, we were more of a marketing team and enjoyed marketing a little bit more than lawn care. And started the Gratzi, started building websites for local businesses and helping them move up on Google.
That's awesome, Adam. Thank you so much for sharing. That was my next question. Where did the name the Grazzi come from? And
Yeah, well,
so, yeah.
yeah, as an Italian in Kenosha, one of the only Italian words my friends knew was grazie, which means thank you in Italian. And I mean, they knew spaghetti, ravioli, but that wasn't gonna. I did not want to be nicknamed that for a
Yeah.
food. So
Yeah.
grazie is what stuck, and that's what we used. And the Gratzi.com was just a great example or a case study for our business to show, if you don't own, smithpetgrooming.com, and maybe you want to own, smithkenosha.com or something like that, you can move up on Google without having the perfect domain, the perfect.com. So the Gratzi.com really didn't mean anything, but it was starting to show up for digital marketing Kenosha, website builders, website design Kenosha. So it's just a good case study to show that it doesn't matter what your domain is. It's how it's optimized is how it's going to move up on Google.
Nice, nice. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, Adam, I want to get started with a little bit more of the basics. Why is having a well-designed website so crucial for small businesses?
Well, it kind of comes down to the most fundamental, element of the website. And as a business owner, right, you need to own your website. So there are many solutions out there, and trust me, we've dealt with many, startup businesses. We were a startup ourselves, but you need to own your website. And many startups won't have a budget. They won't have pretty much anything going on. So, a Wix or a Weebly or a Squarespace, those type of websites are great options to begin a website or to start your web presence. But the biggest caveat out there, that is rented space. So as a business owner, you want to own your space. Let's say you say something on a Wix site, maybe it's something on your web page that you want to display or certain verbiage, and the policies and standards that Wix has, maybe they don't agree with what you just wrote and published to the web. You are at their mercy. So, you do not necessarily own that space because you're renting that space from Wix. And they can shut down a site. We've had numerous clients that have had sites developed elsewhere, or they tried developing them themselves, and they were taken offline, or certain products weren't available because they violated some policy. When you develop a website, in our opinion at the Gratzi, ideally you want to own that code so nobody can tell you to take it down or take you down without notice. So I think, the first bit of information is, try to get into a website that you own as soon as possible. And I understand that, as startups, there are great options that are sometimes even free out there, like GoDaddy Website Builder. That's a good option for people, but if you do something that violates a standard that you don't even know is in their policies, now all of a sudden your website's down and you're not operating.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that because honestly, I'm kinda the best of both worlds right now. So, for those of you that did not know, I also own a laundromat business, and Adam and his crew have created a remarkable website for our laundromat business. If you wanna look it up, it's scrubbyduds.laundry.com, and they run it and maintain it for us, and we've gotten a lot of really good feedback and a lot of good traffic because Google will send out those monthly kind of analytic type things to kind of let you know how much traffic hits every month in different sectors of your website. And honestly, it goes up every single month for us. And so we've gotten a lot of really good feedback with that. The reason I'm bringing this up is because with the pet biz advisors, obviously, I do that on my own with Wix. And so it's a little unnerving to hear to hear that, but I'm glad you mentioned it because, I mean, not that I put a whole lot of time because most of these things are template based on Wix, right? It's just very template based. You don't have a lot of say in what you do with that. But, my traffic is very nominal compared to what we have with Scrubby Duds. So there definitely is, as far as the traffic that hits the website, a very sizable difference there. So I know like once I get a little bit more, I guess, situated or settled into the pet biz advisors, I was going to come to you guys and let you guys start taking
Sure.
some of that
And
stuff
Crystal,
over.
yeah, I mean, you got to understand too. I mean, think about it just like in the physical realm as well.
Mhm.
The Gratzi, if we go back to the very beginning as a startup, right? We had a small, we're talking like a closet size office in a building at one point. Then we graduated up, we got we got some clients, we had some revenue coming in. We moved to a little larger of an office. Then we had our own office. Then now we have our own building. So, I mean, as a business owner, you want to take things in increments that are manageable. It's the same with your website. If you have to start on a Wix or a Weebly or a GoDaddy web builder, that's for free or maybe a very small cost per year or per month, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you get your business to a certain level and you have certain revenue coming in, those websites will only carry you as far as a closet office. You need to graduate up. So I think that's something people need to keep in mind and give themselves a little grace on, that it's okay to start in some of those platforms. But when you're ready to move up to that next level and take your business to the next level, that's when an open source, web platform or web builder, like WordPress, for example, really comes into play because Google really likes to see you control all the code instead of 60% that they allow you on these other template services.
Gotcha, makes sense. All right.
Mhm.
So basically when you get to that graduating point, then you can move up to like more of the, like you said, you're owning your all of your code, which would make a lot of sense because especially if you spend think of how much time you spend building and developing a website. I mean, hours and hours worth of time. And then you guys obviously are much more efficient at it. That's and so I don't have to do it any longer. That's the one thing I love doing. I don't have to maintain it any longer. You guys just take that
Sure.
over.
Yep.
So, just sticking on the website topic, what are some of the must-have elements that every small business website should include on the site to be effective, would you
Oh, sure.
suggest?
Sure. I think looking at the analytics, I think people would be quite surprised that after, a nice homepage that's laid out with, some good call to actions. I mean, you got to keep in mind call to actions. Some people want to call you. Some people want to send you an email and they don't want to call you. Other people want to send you, submit a contact form. So you need to have, in my opinion, all three options available at least at some point on the homepage. Um, Once you get off of the homepage, obviously, if we talk an element of design, for the homepage, I guess we'll start there. You want to have as much graphic and visuals as possible. I mean, video is the most uh, used format and medium on the web right now in terms of digesting content. So if you can include video, that's wonderful. But more graphic, the text, the paragraphs, I mean, yes, you got to have some of that there, but people are not reading the time on page. If I look at the stats and analytics of all the websites that we manage, the time on page is certainly not what it used to be. It's quick and people need to find what they want to find, or they're going elsewhere. But beyond the homepage, you'd be surprised. A lot of people are learning about your business. So you want to have like an about page about us, about the company. Maybe if it's about you, the owner, you want to have some sort of about page because people nowadays with the internet as it is, and social media as it is, they are creeping on you and they're researching you as much as they are capable of. So of course, if you have a website and you have an about page, it's very, very likely the majority of users will look at that about page to determine, do I want to do business with this company or these people? And if you don't have an about page, it's kind of I would say, not necessarily a red flag, but a yellow flag in their mind, maybe subconsciously, like, oh, who are these? Are these people legit? Are they real? Or is this just a company out of a different city trying to supplant into my community? It's nice to see a well done about page. So I would agree that home and about are very, very important.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then for our particular listening audience, obviously we have pet groomers right now that are listening to us. And so probably some of the things that you can put on the about page is not only if you're certified, of certifications, but also competition. I think that would be great if a lot of these groomers go to competition and they win awards, at the competitions. I think that would be cool. And then for videos, now do you guys help with videos if needed? Can you help out with that?
Yeah, certainly. We've done on-site videos, but we also probably more prominently, we have a full operating green screen studio here at the Gratzi. So, coming in, doing a bio video about a business owner or about a company. We've done a lot of different type of videos with people, maybe wanting to display something, maybe like a graphic next to them, that they just can't do in their office or whatever. So of course, the green screen, we can crop you out really nicely, professionally, and have some nice graphics. So you could do almost like a newscast or a broadcast of some sort that people are traditionally seeing on TV or on the web, and have it done professionally. So that's certainly an option. We've had a lot of ranges of people come through, do different videos, and we're surprised. We've done commercials, we've done internal videos for team updates, we've done videos that are living on people's websites just as an introduction, like a nice personal touch to a website. So there's a lot of elements that we can do in the green screen. Certainly.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so just to clarify, they would have to come into your studio. Is there anything that you can do like all like remotely if they wanted something done?
Yeah, yeah. And it depends. We'd want to check out the space. We'd want to see, what we're working with. And we can certainly provide those options and give some alternatives if we feel it's not our wheelhouse. That's one thing that I think the Gratzi does a great job on, is if it's out of our range, I mean, there's some great partners in the community that do some good work. But if it's something we feel we can handle and it'll look sharp and we think it'll be exactly what you're looking for, absolutely, we can come on site and take a peek.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to kind of switch gears just a little bit, and we're going to get into SEO, which is always a three letter term that I, for the longest time, had no idea what that was. So for those that may not know, Adam, can you explain what SEO is and why it's so important for
Sure.
their digital presence?
Yeah, search engine optimization. To put it in layman's terms, it's the ability to edit your website and to do things around your website to help search engines find your website, number one, and then number two, to start moving it up in the search engine result pages. So, for example, Google has got the lion's share. 93% of all searches on the web happen on Google, and that's huge. It's enormous. That includes social media. That includes DuckDuckGo and Bing and everything else. 93% happens on Google. So Google sets the stage and they say, this is what we want. This is what we want to see out of your website. And SEO is the ability and service that jumps through those hoops that Google puts out. So that is going to be crucial. Number one, you want to build a website that has the ability to rank. So again, you're kind of limiting yourself if you go at some of those rented spaces, to an extent. But then number two, Google wants to see the proper code in those websites. So that way, not only do you have the ability to edit certain chunks of code, but you want to make sure that they say what Google users are looking for in your specific industry. So for example, pet grooming, that's great. That's a great term for this industry. But then you got to think like some other clients, some customers. Maybe they won't put in pet grooming. They might put in dog grooming. And that might rank very differently on Google if you're not optimized for both. And there's dozens of others that you'd want to be optimized for. Dog grooming in Kenosha, pet grooming near me, pet grooming near Kenosha, Wisconsin, spelled out. All of these are different phrases. And SEO, search engine optimization, helps your website move up on Google for all the phrases that you really want to narrow down.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. That helps me a lot too, because I've noticed that whenever we started this process, the whole idea of pet grooming near me was really big. Like that's one of the number one searches for whatever service is you're providing out there that I've noticed. And so even on in the Wix site, we noticed that we have more, I guess, traffic to the site when I put in, accounting services near me and things like that. And so we have a lot more coming to it. Now, obviously, I am trying to make sure I get out in front of pet grooming business owners, very specific. And that's more of a national scale. So that's something I'll have to come and talk with you guys about later, how we can do that, because it's really good because a lot of these groomers will also have a specialty niche market, like a specialty that they do. Like they work with poodles, they work with doodles and things like that. And so that would be really good to also put into the SEO searches to be able to make sure that if you have a specific breed that you enjoy working with, then that's what you really want to work with on your SEO. That way, someone who is looking for that, breed groomer, they can know that you're the number one in their area. Because I'm always trying to train clients to make sure that they get the client that they're wanting, like their ideal client that they want to work with.
Sure.
So this will actually help kind of put that first front wall, so to speak, in say, okay, I really only want to work with poodles, for example, and because I specialize in it. And so therefore you want to make sure that the SEO is going crazy for poodle groomer in my area. So you want to make sure you focus on that. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And I think that comes down to content. So having content about poodles, whether that's text or images, video, etc. And then turning those pieces of content, maybe have dedicated pages on the website towards, groomers for poodles, poodle grooming, whatever those verbs or verbiage might be. You want to make sure that you're catering to that. Now, that's one side of the story. That's having the content visible to users, and Google will crawl some of that, absolutely, and start ranking you for poodles. There's a whole other side of the website that may not even be accessible to again, people in rented space, which would be the code side. You want to make sure that things are coded and tagged properly for poodle groomers near me, poodle groomers in Wisconsin or Illinois, whatever it might be. And you can only do so much of that on the front end. So then the back end needs to be accessible. And if it's not accessible, now you're missing the boat. You might be doing out of 100% of the SEO you could, maybe 50 or 60%, which in some cases, if it's a really competitive area, industry, whatever, you're going to miss the boat. So that's where, again, graduating up to a website that you own, that the code is accessible, all that good stuff. That's where SEO really shines, because when you can touch 100% of the code, Google grabs onto your site a lot more.
Gotcha. Yeah. I remember you guys taught me one thing when I came in and sat down with you guys to go over the website. And it's to make sure that your images are tagged, like you just said, with the actual, like, for example, poodles near me. You can actually tag it that way instead of all of these like picture images that have all these just numeric numbers that make no sense. You actually can step your game up by just tagging your images and making sure that they're labeled
Yeah.
that specific way.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. When you upload a picture from your camera or from your phone or wherever it's coming from, it's got a file name, DSC11001. Sometimes on a phone, it might have the date and maybe a geolocation that's tagged numerically, that those are the numbers you're referring to. A lot of the sites, when you upload that file, that's what becomes the back end tag. And that doesn't make much sense to Google to figure, these ones and zeros and letters equal, dog grooming. No, they don't. So you want to change that file type, or I should say the file name, change that file name to something that is optimized, something that a client would be searching on Google. That's the most important. So.
Hmm. Yeah, and then once you get these clients, obviously you want to be able to keep them. You want to be able to service like I said, the ideal customer that they're working with. So one of the biggest things about website and digital marketing is just marketing in general, right? You want to make sure that you can attract and then retain your customers. So I want to kind of go over what the role of marketing is in small business, just in general terms. So beyond SEO, what role does content marketing play in helping a small business grow?
Well, geez, I mean, for businesses, I think there's two routes that you really need to consider their marketing for. One is lead generation, and that's going to be the lifeblood of most small businesses. I'd say marketing dollars should be spent towards generating a lead. Then the other side is branding, getting your brand out there, getting your name, your logo, your colors, get it in people's minds. The issue with branding for small businesses is that it doesn't generate leads right away. It takes time. It takes, effort. It takes redundancy. It takes a lot of things for a branded effort to get into the mind of a person, number one, but then number two, to convert that person into a lead. If you're Pepsi or Coca-Cola and you have a Super Bowl commercial, that's a form of branding. Gets in people's minds. They go to the store and they're like, oh, you know what? I kind of do want to buy some Coke. Okay, let me get some Coca-Cola here. That's branding. It takes a lot of time and effort. As a small business, number one, you don't have that budget. Number two, it's probably not in the same market or industry. So if you're providing a service, you have to be ready when someone wants that service. And when someone wants a service, what are they doing, Crystal? They're going to Google and they're asking, pet groomers near me, dog grooming near Kenosha. So you want to spend your money, in my opinion, as a small business towards lead generation, at least initially, significantly, so you can generate those leads to keep your business thriving. Then maybe you can start getting to some branding and doing some other efforts to where the logo's out there, but you're not getting necessarily a here and now return. Does that kind of answer the question or?
It does. No, it does. Let's talk a little bit more about lead generation. Like, what are some of the steps to actually get these lead generations going? Like, what would you recommend for a brand new baby business that's just starting up to get some leads going?
Sure. I think some inexpensive stuff, depending upon the industry, but let's say it's, dog grooming or pet grooming, maybe just working up some flyers and distributing those out to the community. Maybe it's at a sporting event, or maybe it's at the Kenosha Expo, for example. A great opportunity to get in touch with a lot of consumers. Because this is a B2C, a business to consumer industry. Yeah, you'd want to find places where consumers are going. So if you can get some very simple flyers out there and hand out flyers, that's very inexpensive, takes a little bit of time, not a whole lot of time. But I'm always about, kind of marrying the physical realm with the digital realm. So on those flyers, you want to be very, very intentional and have some good graphics, have some good call to action, but have a nice, nowadays in 2025, you should have a nice QR code. Those
Mm-hmm.
QR codes are scannable by a phone. Any phone nowadays, it's a modern phone, can scan a QR code and take you right to your website. Now, guess who's watching that interaction? Google. Google's watching. So now you take someone that is, maybe interested in the service from the physical realm, from a flyer you handed out, or maybe even a mailer that you did. Mailers can get expensive, but it's a place to start. And if you can have a QR code on those elements to go to your website, Google's watching, and that, not necessarily that alone, but that does help you start moving up on Google. So even without SEO, you can start generating traffic to your website, which again, Google really, and when I say Google, I mean all the search engines, but I'll say Google for just conversation people. Google will recognize that. So lead generation nowadays in 2025 for most businesses is going to be online, whether it's brought from the physical to online or people just searching online directly. It's got to go to your website. That's why the website is your digital home base, and you can have an apartment, rented space, or you can have a home that you own.
And
So again,
bills.
that's one way to start generating those leads.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and the QR code, one of the really cool things, now I'm going to tell on myself, everybody, so you can go ahead and start laughing. So QR codes, I only learned how to use them a couple of years ago. I didn't even know really how to use them properly. And so, but ever since I learned how, I started using them all over the place with our store and with my digital, I guess, lead magnets and things. So it was very important. One of the coolest ones I saw will take you right to a video. So if they click on your QR code, especially if you have video of like, as a pet groomer, if you, again, if you're in competitions, of you actually grooming in a competition, that would be really cool to let people see like some of your top grooms that actually are award winning of you actually doing this. I think that would really speak a lot to the pet owner at that point. So yeah, so the QR code thing is really, really cool. Do you guys do things like that where you can just have the QR code go directly to a video essentially?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime you can incorporate video, the better. I would
Hmm.
actually take it a step further. So, do you know who owns YouTube?
Isn't it like ABC?
Google.
Oh yeah, that's right. Google. That's
Google.
right. Yeah.
Google owns YouTube. So if you can have a video hosted on YouTube, Google recognizes that, and then do one better. Take that video from YouTube and embed it into your website and have a page built to receive someone from a QR. So not only are you getting QR traffic to your website, but now you have a video specifically about maybe the topic that they're scanning for, this competition grooming right there on your website, all happening under your .com or whatever it might be. That is intentional. That's taking all your marketing and putting it towards, all right, we want to move up on Google. We want more leads generated from this. This is all working congruently and together. That's one of the probably number one problems we see is so many disjointed marketing efforts. It's like, well, connect these. If you can connect this, Google will recognize that and send you to the top of the list. And of course, that generates so many more leads when you get to the top of Google.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like that a lot because I'm really trying to also build up the YouTube channel as well. And so obviously these podcasts are going on there. But yeah, the idea of being able to take that embedded code and put it directly on the site, therefore, it sees it not only in YouTube but also on the website itself. So it's like a double whammy, so to speak.
Bingo.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, I want to ask real quick about more advertising and kind of get your professional opinion on this. So when it comes to digital ads, let's kind of go into like social media type thing. When it
Sure.
comes to digital ads, How do you know when it's worth investing in paid marketing versus organic marketing? Like how do you know that I might want to put some money in towards Google ads and things like that to get that going? What is your opinion on that?
Well, if we start kind of on the social media side, if you have a business where you are creative, or you have some really nice imagery, some good photography that you've captured, or some nice videos, you can grow your following on social media. Facebook and Instagram are probably the ones that I'd recommend the most for small businesses. Obviously, there's other ones out there. We know that. But for small businesses, I'd say Facebook and Instagram is where you're going to have people actually, wanting to spend some money with you. So if you have some nice creative content, I think you could start growing a decent following organically. And I would recommend that route because that doesn't cost you anything. Once you start stalling and you see like, okay, I've invited all my friends. I've done a lot of different content and posts over a couple months, maybe a couple quarters throughout the year. And you kind of you plateau and you don't have more people following the page or liking your posts. That's where you might want to start exploring the paid options. Um, the paid options really could range from a simple $5 boosted post, which is just a post that you're spending money on to target some very light, simple demographics, perhaps, a city or maybe a certain type of individual that has an interest in poodles, for example, or an interest in, dogs in general. You could spend $5 on that and see, hey, wow, I got a lot more traction when I spent $5. Let's try $50 now. And you can see what type of return you get on those spends. I don't necessarily recommend just diving into paid advertising on social media or on Google for that matter, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But social media is created for the user. That means most users should be able to manage their own pages, manage their own businesses on social media. If you have issues, obviously that's something that the Gratzi can help with. You want to be properly configured in Meta, which is the owner of Facebook and Instagram. You want to be properly configured with a Meta business account. And that's something that we could certainly help with, but give it a shot yourself. Start out organically, meaning no spend, no money spent, and see what you can accomplish. You might be surprised if you're ultra creative or ultra fun or whatever it might be. I mean, we've seen pages blow up just because it's different. But if you need help becoming different, or maybe it's just a time thing, you're like, oh my goodness, it's 10 p.m. and I've been running my business and I just haven't had the time to do a post. Like, that's where the Gratzi steps in. Like, we can make sure you got a post a week, one a week going out at minimum. So that way people know you're up and running.
Gotcha. Yeah, that actually was my next question as far as how often to post. So what do you recommend, like starting out to try to get some more
Oh,
traffic?
that is a fun question. That is there's no crystal ball. There's no answer to that. I would say you could post as much as possible in terms of good content. If you're just posting fluff and you're just you're grasping at straws and things, then it's probably not worth the post. But doing something to show a small business is, number one, in business, and number two, active. Once a week is fine. But heck, if you got enough content and enough material to post multiple times a week, maybe even sometimes multiple times a day, go ahead. If you're getting the traffic, you're getting the likes and the hearts on your posts, then more the merrier. But when is it too much? I would probably argue it's too much when people start unsubscribing. If they don't unsubscribe, then you're doing something. You're doing something right. It's probably fine. But if they start unsubscribing, you start seeing people like, "Oh, we dropped 2. Oh, we dropped 4. Oh, we dropped 10." Maybe ease off the gas and give them a break here.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
That line,
that's a
I
good
think that
metric.
line does move. The line does move. So.
Yeah. And also probably depends on like who your ideal customer is that you're trying to attract in. Some actually want more tips. Some are more do-it-yourself or pet owners, for example, and they want you to be able to show them how like certain techniques of brushing and maintaining and grooming and things that you can do at home, where others are like, no, I know I have award-winning dogs. I know what I'm doing. I want other things to come through. So therefore, yeah, it just also probably depends on the topic of the content as well. Like you said, don't do the fluff. I shamelessly will admit that on my website, when I first started with accounting, I would get a lot of these paid for you, do it yourself type things, where they just kind of gave you some very generic accounting and graphics and information to put out there, and which is fine, when you're first starting out and you don't really know like what to do. I was just mostly just time constraints for me, right? And that's what I think a lot of these audience member listeners will agree to. It's just I don't have time. So you were mentioning that the Gratzi also sometimes does that for them as well, like they can possibly do some social media help with that.
Correct. Yeah. And really, when we are involved to any capacity, one of the questions we ask, and it's pretty straightforward: are you looking for leads? Do you need people through your doors? And if that answer is yes, we need to start on the SEO side. That's going to give you, even though SEO takes a little bit of time to start moving up on Google and getting to page one, that's going to bring you more leads than your social media. Now, if you're a restaurant, on the other hand, it's a completely different industry. Social media could bring in a lot because people want to see that food. They want to see a lot of things. Let's go check out this place here in town. Different story. But for service industry, if we say, do you want leads and do you need leads? And they say yes, then we have to start with SEO. I would not do a social media package through the Gratzi if someone's looking for lead generation in your industry.
Gotcha. Okay. And that leads us to another really good question. So let's say that we have some audience members that are interested in possibly talking with you. So what does a consultation with you or a team member look like? Meaning, what information does the business owner need to bring with them, or what information will it help them to know before actually sitting down and meeting with you guys?
Oh, sure. Well, first and foremost, no cost whatsoever. I know for some startups and some small businesses, that's a big concern. And I do know some companies that will charge for a consultation or the first appointment. With us, not the case. So I get that out of the way. It's free to start here, and what you can prepare. I say bring your mind, bring your fresh mind, and we're going to ask a lot of questions. We got to find out what your business does, what you want to focus on, what your profit centers are, and what makes you different than maybe some of your competition out there. So just be ready to be, I'd say, interviewed would be a good way to put it, because we are going to interview you. And from there, it is a pretty fun exploration, because once we learn some of the pain points, once we learn, what you're trying to do, maybe the goals of your business, short-term and long-term, then we can start coming down to what are the right solutions. We're not just going to throw you into a package that, okay, yeah, I think this is the route and this is what you have to do. There's plenty of other places that may do that. We really want to learn about what it is you're trying to accomplish. And I mean, 9.5 out of 10, I need leads. I want to survive with this business. I need people coming through the doors or calling or submitting forms online. And in that case, it's, hey, yeah, let's do a website. Let's get SEO. Let's figure out the right package for you, because we do have tiers. So yeah, I would say what a business owner has prepared, just bring your mind, be ready to answer some questions. That's really it. If you have a website already, let us know what it is. We'll take a look at it. And yeah, it's pretty lax. It's pretty relaxed and chill. So we just ask a lot of questions and find out what you're doing.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed working with all of your team members. You all have certain specialty and also personalities there. You're a good group of mixed personalities, but you're also fun, very creative, which I enjoy, because I know a lot of my listeners, obviously, as pet groomers, they're also creative, like artistic types. They can
Oh
really
yeah.
get into the development side of it. So yeah, that's awesome. Well, Adam, this has been such an insightful conversation. Are there any last minute tips that you would give to people that are just starting out with their business and their website
Yeah.
development?
Yeah. I think there are a couple. I mentioned Google ads, and I just want to touch upon that. Google ads are tricky. 83% of Google's revenue, I'm pretty sure that's an accurate stat, comes from ads. So what Google ads are, for people that may not know, you are paying Google directly to be at the top of Google. Now, the question I ask when people come in, we have business owners come in and say, yeah, should I be doing Google ads? What do you guys think about Google ads? I ask a very simple question in return. And it kind of gets them thinking. And I say, well, do you click on the Google ad top, the ones at the top that say sponsored? Do you click on those ads? And they go, no, I don't. And I said, well, then maybe that's your answer. And they're like, oh, go figure. I said, so what do you do? And they said, well, I scroll to the map. And sometimes if the map isn't there, I go to the regular, they call them regular results. It's the organic results. And I click on a website there. I said, oh, well, it's funny because every single person I've asked does the same thing. And so there's an aspect that Google ads, you could pay to be at the top, but real people just aren't clicking them as often as we think. Now I will say there are cases where it makes sense. I mean, nowadays with the advent of mobile, and having everybody on their phones, there's a call button. There's something called Google Guarantee, which, you got to go through a very, strict, vetting process to be in. So Google ads is morphing, and I think Google's getting it right. But they're expensive. That's the other side of it. They are very, very expensive. There's a reason that Google will send small businesses a little gift card, or sometimes it's digital now in an email, saying $500 free of Google ads. Well, the reason they do that is because when you set up your account for free, you have to put in a credit card. And that $500 that they give you is truly $500 credit towards your ads, but they are banking. This is my own opinion. Google's banking on you not setting up your campaigns properly, or at least thoroughly. And that $500 ad spend goes real fast. And guess what they're tied to after that spend is gone? Your credit card.
Credit card, exactly.
So Google ads for a small business, or even a startup for that matter, not the greatest usage of efforts in marketing and lead generation that I believe in. I really believe the SEO is a much better route. You're going to spend less, you're going to get more in the long run, and that's where people are viewing you. So Google ads, case by case, we could certainly advise, but best bang for your buck is going to be through SEO, bar none. Lead generation.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. I know from the owner's mouth, I tell you what, that's great. That's good information to know. So that way they're not wasting their money, basically is what it is. And I know myself, when I see a lot of these paid ads, so to speak, at the top of Google, it's almost like I'm being sold to, and I don't like being sold to. I want to be able to find you myself, like you said, more of an organic search in things. I think that may be why I haven't done anything like that myself a whole lot. So it's like, I will do some on Facebook, out there, but I don't on Loop. So that could be why. Yeah. Well, Adam, again, this has been really insightful. And I know many business owners, especially the pet groomers out there, struggle with knowing, even where to start when it comes to their website marketing and SEO. Before we wrap up, where can people find you if they want to learn more about the Gratzi and how you can help small businesses?
Oh, absolutely. No, appreciate you offering that. Thegratzi.com. That's TheGratzi.com. We're located in Kenosha, Wisconsin, right on 75th Street. So if you want to drop by at 4721 75th Street, you walk in the lobby, come right downstairs to suite number 3. And there we are, the Gratzi.
That's awesome. Yeah, awesome. Well, okay, everybody. For those of you that are listening, I'd love to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to marketing your business? Drop a comment or send me a message or email me at petvisitvisors@gmail.com with your questions or topics that you would like us to cover in the future episodes. And again, don't forget that new episodes of Beyond the Shears drop every other Thursday. So make sure to subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube so you'll never miss an episode. And if you're looking for more support in your business, make sure you check out the Pet Biz community that's coming up in 2025, where our online network is designed just for pet grooming business owners. It's a place where you can connect with industry professionals like accountants, bookkeepers, HR managers, and certified business coaches. Plus, get exclusive content, software demos, and financial guidance. We're currently accepting founders for our launch later in the summer. Check out the description in the details. And once again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Beyond the Shears.